Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we're doing another discography ranking for you, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite folk metal bands, Falkenbach. This band, or man, it's just a one-man band, hails from Germany. He goes by the moniker of Ratias Vakias, might be mispronouncing that. I believe his actual name is Marcus Tumers. But yeah, I labeled this as folk metal, but really there's a lot more to it than that. There's elements of like pagan black metal mixed in with the folk, and overall just Viking metal, I guess, would be a suitable tag for this style of music. If you haven't heard this band before, probably for fans of bands like Bathory, Early Enslaved, Windeer, Horn, Moonsorrow, stuff in that vein where there's elements of black metal, but a lot of folk instrumentation going on as well. It's got pagan themes throughout the lyrics. And yeah, this band has not released anything in quite some time. The last album was from 2013, but he does have 6 full lengths, so I'm going to go through those from my least favorite down to my favorite. I will say this is a pretty flawless discography. Even the albums that I'm putting near the bottom of this list, I still thoroughly enjoy. There's definitely a handful of albums here that I think are a notch above the other ones, but that being said, all of these albums I listen to on the regular, very solid stuff, especially for the genre. I'm really hoping that he releases more material, but who knows at this point. So before I ramble on too long here, let's just get into this. So, coming in 6th place, my least favorite Falkenbach album, but that I still thoroughly enjoy, is from 2011, Teorida. So this one, it really went in a new direction, really more focused on the folk side of things than the metal side. There's not that much black metal influence here on this album. There's still a few rasps and tremolo riffs here and there, but this is almost a purely folk metal album. It's got very like organic feeling throughout, very emotional with the singing and chanting, but it's just chocked full of melody. While the song's construction may be very simple in its approach, it's very catchy and memorable, and it's very well done. So this actually like really pains me to put this album in 6th because I truly enjoy this album a lot. But as I'm re-listening to all of these, I do feel that I like the other ones a little bit more, but I don't want that to sound too negative here that I'm putting this in 6th place, because this album is still very well done and it's a super enjoyable folk metal album. If I had to pick favorite songs on here, Where His Ravens Fly is absolutely gorgeous. Rune Shall You Know is great as well. Like, all in all, still very solid, but I think we're going to get into some even better stuff, so let's get to it. Up next, coming in 5th place, I'm going with the album right before that, which was from 2005, titled Heralding the Fireblade. So this album, it's a little bit unique because it's actually a re-recorded version of what was originally going to be their debut album titled Fireblade, but then he kind of shelved that. That was back in like 1995, so he still had those ideas and songs. So he re-recorded them and also added in a few new tracks as well. I will say there are a few songs on this album that appear on different albums throughout their discography, just in different version. So that's kind of something that might hold this album back from being higher on this list, because there's just some different versions of songs that you've heard before. Still super enjoyable, but when I'm comparing this, like this was the 4th album, when I compare this to the first 3, each of those 3 albums absolutely wowed me, like amazed me. I didn't necessarily feel that with this. I kind of felt like I've heard this style of songs before and even heard some of these songs before, so maybe it's got too much of a similar feeling to it. Didn't necessarily change a whole lot in the style from the first 3 to this, but that being said, I still really enjoy this. It's got a nice mix of more black metal style tracks of the older style, but then also some like purely Viking folk epics. So if I had to pick favorite songs, Heathen Foray, this is a new version of a song that was off their 2nd album, which I haven't talked about yet. A Forests Unknown is really great as well. So all in all, still a thoroughly enjoyable album, but let's get into even better stuff now. So up next at number 4, I am going with his most recent album, which is from 2013, Asa. So this one, I feel like, is just the perfect culmination of his whole career. It really combines like the aggressiveness of the really early material, but then with the melodies and epicness of an album like their 3rd album, which I haven't talked about yet, but really kind of combining all those styles together to really create this fully realized vision. It's like a very hypnotic, majestic album. You've got the harsh black metal back in here after the album Teorita, where they had kind of strayed away from that path. He brought it back here, but still balanced with the lighter side of things and some more epic folk songs. So it really has this great balance, and it's just an excellent album all around. Like front to back, I absolutely love this album. Putting this in 4th place is just because the next 3 I'm going to talk about are absolute masterpieces. But this is right on the level there too. If you have this higher than 4th, I don't blame you. This is really an awesome album. So you've got a harsh song like Wolfar Wide, might be mispronouncing that, and then you've got a truly majestic song like Erwen. I do not know how to pronounce any of these, so I apologize. But all in all, super solid stuff here. Easily in my top 4. So now let's get into the top 3. It's the first 3 albums. This is where it got really, really tough for me. Like I said at the beginning of the video, while I think the discography is pretty flawless, these next 3 are a notch above the 3 albums that I just talked about. These 3 are all masterpieces. Pretty much any order here would make sense to me. Even on a given day, I might prefer a different album than another one. But for today, let's give this a shot. Let's see what order I'm going to put them in. So coming in 3rd place, I'm going to go with the 3rd album, which is from 2003, Oknefna Taisvar Tai. Might be mispronouncing that. I believe the rough translation is And Call Tear Twice. So compared to the first 2 albums, this has a much bigger sound. He actually brought in some additional guest musicians, whereas on the first 2 albums, it was truly just a one-man band, him doing everything. Here he brought in some support like a drummer and additional guitarist, and it really filled out the sound. This is just a majestic and breathtaking album. It's really got like a Nordland vibe, like Bathory's Nordland, really taking that epicness to the next level. This started maybe straying away from the black metal influences a little bit. There's still a few black metal rasps sprinkled in here and there, but this is just so full of melody. There's flutes, there's folky instrumentation, there's acoustics, and the clean vocals are just truly amazing. Like this just, yeah, it's absolutely epic Viking metal and one of the best albums in this genre for sure. Really hard to put this in 3rd place because it is a masterpiece. Like this could be your number 1, and I would not say anything bad about that. This is truly an absolutely excellent album. Favorite songs on here, pretty much the whole thing, but Vanadis and Farewell are the lengthier epics that kind of bookend the album, so I'll go with those 2 as my 2 favorites. But throughout the whole album, there's not really any weak moments here. Just really solid stuff in 3rd place. Up next at number 2, I am going with the sophomore album, which is from 1998, Magni Blandrin och Magintiri. Probably once again mispronouncing that. I believe the translation is Mixed with Strength and Glory. So I haven't talked about the debut album yet, but this one follows the template that was set by that debut album, whereas it was really on a foundation of black metal, but infused with so much folk. But this album really built up the atmosphere a little bit more than on the debut. Maybe it's not as much black metal as on the debut, but another one that's just really epic, and it takes you on this great Viking journey throughout this whole album. The folk instrumentation is so tasteful. It's not overdone and cheesy. I absolutely love it here. The mix between songs and just the songwriting and the compositions and just the flow of the album as a whole. Absolutely amazing. This is another one. I'm putting it at 2nd, but on any given day, this could be number 1. It's so amazing. The Heathenish Foray. I like this original version better than Heathen Foray, which was on Heralding the Fireblade. But that being said, both versions are great, but I really like the rougher approach here. When Gjallarhorn Will Sound is a standout track, but once again, front to back, absolutely amazing stuff here. So that just leaves one. I've kind of hinted at it. You can guess I haven't talked about the debut yet. So that's what's coming in number 1 from 1996. In There Maid Riki Farah, or And in Glory Will They Go. So this one, just out of the gates firing here. Huge Bathory influence, kind of blending like the black metal of an album like Bloodfire Death with the more epic Viking side of an album like Hammerheart, and really just making their own thing with it. I don't want to just say it's a Bathory clone, because it's not. Falkenbach really did their own thing here. It's got a great fuzz-driven guitar tone to kind of give it a rough black metal edge, but there's even some symphonic elements with keyboards here, and it's just got this very folky feeling throughout. Like, although this is their most black metal release, I would still consider this more of a folk metal album than a purely black metal album. It's obviously a hybrid of the two genres, bringing in the rasping black metal vocals, but there's even still a ton of excellent clean vocals and chanting here. It's got these really beautiful acoustic passages There's wind instruments in there as well that adds a little bit of charm to it. This is kind of what propelled this one to #1. I just find this album charming. It's got that mid-90s feel to it, and it's just a perfect blend of black metal with folk. And once again, yeah, really hard album and band to label as black metal or folk metal, but sometimes just throw labels out the window. It's just a great band, and it's a great album. Such an excellent debut here from start to finish. If I had to pick favorite songs, you got a song like Heathen Pride, which is just absolute folky brilliance, pure folk metal there. And then you've got a more black metal song like Leichenschunder, probably mispronouncing that also. But yes, once again, just perfect blend of these styles into something uniquely their own. One of the best in the genre for sure. And yeah, one of my favorite albums in this style and my favorite Falkenbach album. So anyways, these are just my opinions as usual. I'd love to hear yours down below. If you've not listened to this band, I strongly suggest you go do it if anything I said today sounds like you would like it. But if you have heard them, let me know what your favorites are down below. Let me know what you thought of my ranking. And yeah, until next time, go give me a subscribe. Hammerheart Metal Reviews, out.